Hi there. So you may have seen that note that I wrote on Facebook all about the death of Clubland and getting more gigs. It got a great response. I'm nobody special, but I've noticed things and I wanted to share them with you. In the note I did say I would sit and write a report, but it turns out I'm not as good as a writer as I hoped to be. It just didn't make any sense, so it made more sense for me to sit here and just talk you through it. It'll only take about 5, maybe 10 minutes, and I've included a few slides just to help me remember what to talk about and to give you something to look at instead of my ugly mug. Speaking of which, apologies for the look. I tend to just slum it all week, and then at weekends, obviously, I brush up, make myself a bit more presentable for the gigs. So, the death of Clubland and getting more gigs. Firstly, I suppose the obvious first question is, who am I? My name is Tony Finbar Smith. My stage name is Finbar Smith. You may have seen that on posters or something. That's me there, looking a bit smarter. I'm married to Melissa, and we've got a little girl called Angel May. That's my little fish head. She's 3, and she started school just a couple of days ago, so I'm a very proud dad. I've been entertaining for about 20 years. I got into magic when I was about 10. When I was 13 or so, I hit magic hard. I was part of a society, I was hitting restaurants, I was getting work all over the place, doing parties and doing close-up and stuff like that. I actually went to work on the Princess of Scandinavia cruise ship. I started the day after my 18th birthday, and while I was on the ship I got into DJing because I had to do the music for the kids' disco. So from there, the DJing, I got into that, and I got into helping with karaoke's. With the karaoke's, started singing a few songs, and then, you know, as happens with people on karaoke's, people suggest maybe you should sing for a job, which I took them seriously, and I've been singing on the circuit for I don't know, about 11 years now, something like that. I do quite specific shows, as well as doing the cabaret circuit still. I do some tribute shows, including a musical show, which incorporates opera, which is like Il Divo, Andrea Bocelli, stuff like that. And I do a Michael Bublé tribute show called Mighty Bublé. So I've been doing it kind of cards in professional for 11 years. Previously, though, when I had a proper job, I worked for the man. I was always in sales and marketing, things like that, design, stuff like that. So whether it was doing flyers or websites or, I don't know, like promotional copy or stuff like that. Stuff that sells products, basically. I was also a compere for 4 years, and when I was the compere at Plodder Lane Conservative Club in Farnworth, I actually became the concert secretary because the previous person left. So they just kind of left me to do all the booking the acts, which meant I actually had to watch the acts for a change. Sitting there watching the acts, critiquing them, whether they're going down well in my club or not, started to notice some patterns. So while I've been on the circuit, there's a pattern I've noticed, and that's to do with the clubs. There's 2 kinds of clubs. There are those who've just sat there moaning about the death of Clubland, and then there's those who've made change. Some of them are doing excellent work in making members want to be members, bringing in newer generations and things like this. See, the problem I've found is that the clubs were set up 2 generations ago. So they brought their kids into the clubs. Those kids are now the current kind of old members, and maybe they brought some of their kids in, but the next generation hasn't been introduced to the clubs properly. They see the clubs as venues to have christenings and parties, and they don't like normal nights there because they have to shut up while the bingo's on. It's not, it's just not this generation friendly, let's say. So there are some clubs who made some great changes. That's probably going to be a separate video I'll make on the things that are really working for lots of the clubs, because every club I go to, I ask them what are they doing, what's working, where are they having trouble. So then I noticed there's these different kinds of acts. You can boil it down to 2 kinds of acts. There are those who play to the audience. They think they want to hear Penny Arcade and Mac the Knife and Ain't That Kick in the Head and Sweet Caroline and Mustang Sally and Rock DJ. Nothing wrong with all them songs, except when everybody else is singing them. Okay, Penny Arcade, shoot me now. Can't stand it. Human by the Killers, very popular. I do sing it, but that's the new Penny Arcade, and I'm going to get rid of it soon. You do have to bow to the audience a little bit to what they want, but generally, if you do one thing very well, you'll get booked on the strength of that, okay? When Paul McCartney is in concert, whoever's booked him doesn't walk up, or the people who bought the tickets don't walk up to him and say, "Hello, Mr. McCartney, here's a list of the songs we'd like you to sing tonight." He tells them how it goes. If he doesn't go down well, they don't get booked back, basically, and that's it. Same with me. I do what I do, and if I don't go down well, they don't book me back. Now, if I don't go down well, there's a problem there. Either the agent doesn't know the venue very well, or the agent doesn't know my act very well, or maybe there's a kind of a similar kind of interfacing problem, let's say. So don't feel bad if you don't go down well somewhere. You've just found somewhere that you don't want to play again, basically. But don't try and change. In my act, like I said, I do the Bublé stuff. I do the musicals, the popera. They're asking me for Lady Gaga in one place, and I just had to say, look, I can only sway so much. I changed a couple of bits, made it a little bit more up tempo, but I said, look, just please don't book me back. And they were shocked at that. And I said, listen, I'm here to sell beer. If people are enjoying themselves and laughing and singing and dancing, then they're drinking more beer, and the business does well. Okay, so I always make that very clear when I need to, that's why I'm there. I'm there to make them more money, and they appreciate that. So those who play to the audience and those who get booked based on what they play. Now, one thing I noticed when I was paying the acts was that those who play to the audience, who are just like, whatever their first name and their middle name is, that's their stage name. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just another trend I've noticed. I'm not having a go at anyone. But those are the people who get paid the lower end of the money. We had 2 acts on, and each night, and the average was maybe 50, 60, 70 quid at the time for one spot. Those who were on the 50, 60 quids were the ones who just did what they think the audience wants to hear. But the people who got 150 per spot were totally different. A total change, and it's not really based on talent. A lot of it's based on the song selection. So here is the one key ingredient to getting more highly paid gigs. But before I get to that, when I read the note on Facebook, a guy called Dave Dawson commented. He said, really interested in hearing what you've got to say. I've already got 90 gigs booked in for next year, which is brilliant. Well done. Now, I don't know how much he's getting paid for this, so don't take this the wrong way, Dave. But other people may take this the wrong way, because you can have 90 gigs at 100 quid each and make 900 quid, or you could do 36 gigs at 250 quid each and still make the same 900 quid. I would rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, as the Americans say. So, or I'd rather have 520p's than 100 pennies in English money. So, those who go out, and I know acts who do this, those who go out for 90 quid, 100 quid on a Saturday night just to keep themselves busy, not good. Don't do it. Why are you doing that? I know you're keeping yourself busy and all that. Please just keep in touch with all this stuff that we're talking about now. Upgrade the act, and respect yourself more, because you're not helping yourself. You will always be branded as a cheap one of them, one of many, a cheap one of many act, and you're not helping the industry by making it just based on price. So the key ingredient to getting more highly paid gigs is differentiation. Don't be one of many. Be something that nobody can compare you to. Why do comedians get paid more? Comedians have very solid identities and very solid branding within themselves. You'd find, like, for example, say they book a vocalist, right, and it just says on the board, I know 2 names at random, Steve Paint, vocalist. If they replaced him with, Simon Coffey, vocalist, nobody would give a shit. But if they booked, let's say, I don't know, Roy Chubby Brown and replaced him with Lee Evans, that's very, very different, wouldn't they? People would be kind of a bit upset and whatever. Not because they're famous names, but because they're usually, these guys have reputations and branding and identities. So a friend of mine is a driving instructor. This is a great example of why being different helps you earn more. A friend of mine is a driving instructor, and it's all about price. You know, they're charging 20, 23, 26 pounds an hour. There's another guy just opened up, advertising all over Facebook, £15 an hour. You know, my friend who's the driving instructor, she's like, what do we do? And I said, well, you can't be based on price. If Michael Schumacher opened a driving school in Bolton, do you think he'd be competing on price? Well, no, that's Michael Schumacher, of course not. I said, so you have to establish yourself as something different and something better, okay? Because if people are comparing apples with apples, then, you know, they're going to just say which one's cheaper. But if they're comparing apples with organic Sicilian apples or a pineapple, you know, or an Amazonian kiwi or something, you can't compare the two. And that is exactly what you need to be. Be a posh fruit. So here's how to be different. A few ideas to get you started. You could do one genre. Be the go-to guy or gal for that. There's probably one kind of songs you prefer to sing anyway. My stuff has always been the swing stuff. Even before Robbie Williams brought out that Swing When You're Winning, I was doing it all then, all the old croony stuff. When Michael Bublé came out, I was like, to be honest, I didn't like him at first because I was like, he's messing with the old stuff. But you know, I grew to like him, and now I do the tribute act. But, you know, there's always one kind of genre that you prefer, and I've always loved the musicals, and I do them as well. I do 2 separate shows. So, you might prefer 60s. You might prefer glam rock. You might prefer swing. So just do a really good show based around that, with a little bit of variation, a bit of tempo change as well throughout the sets, just to keep refreshing people's attention, and just so it's not all samey. With the swing stuff, it's not all finger clicky stuff, you know, and we'll get to how to find the unusual songs in a second. You might want to do a tribute act. Okay, certain tribute acts do better than other ones. For example, Mother-in-Law does a Doris Day tribute act. There's less of those around, so she's going to get more work. Michael Bublé tribute acts, there's tons of them, so you have to work harder to get the work. Elvis tribute acts, bazillions of them, all right? But you can still do very well doing that, you know. But yeah, you know, niche it down, get down to one little sub-genre of music, if you can, if you want to. Or you could do theme shows. There's all number ones. If you're interested, I'll give you access to a list of every number one from 1953 to 2001. You could do a show of just all number ones from the 60s, all number ones from the 70s, all number ones from 1964 if you wanted, or 83. You know, you could really, really niche it down. There's an album called Petticoats and Dreamboats, or Dreamboats and Petticoats actually, and that's all the music from Cliff Richard, Buddy Holly, Billy Fury, Bobby Darin, Roy Orbison, Marty Wilde, Bobby V, and that is all a kind of a feeling and a genre, but it's a kind of a feel within that era, okay? Another one, Music to Watch Girls By, great song by Andy Williams, inspired a whole album that captured, in fact there's 2 or 3 after that as well, but it captured the feel and almost the colour that you can imagine when you see videos or films of that era. So I'm going to quickly show you how you can find a really good genre or a really good set of songs to do within your genre, okay? So let's dive into Amazon and let's have a quick look. Okay, so here we are in amazon.co.uk. Okay, so we're going to find some unusual, maybe a bit different songs, maybe not everyone else is singing, that will make you stand out from everyone else, basically. So what you do is you go to amazon.co.uk, and on the left you go Music, Games, Films and TV, and then select Music. Now this is currently how it is. These websites change their navigation quite frequently, so don't be put off if it's slightly different. You'll find your way there. Now, under Browse Music on the left, if I scroll down, I can go to Browse by Format, and there is Compilations. Click on that. you've got all these different compilations. So let's type in fact, on the left, here we are again, genres. Now let's say I'm into my soul and Motown kind of stuff, okay? So if I scroll down to R&B and soul, and now here we've got a list of the best sellers, of the best albums, okay? So at the minute you can see here they're sorted by popularity. So that means these are the best albums, which means they have the best music on. Now this, like R&B and soul, is a very high up, high level kind of a thing. For example, 70s. You know, it's just as vague, really, isn't it? Kind of quite distanced. So what you can do is you can zoom in a bit further. Like over here, you've got classic R&B, doo-wop, funk, modern R&B, Motown, and soul. So let's say you're really into your Motown. Click that. Now we've got here Motown anthems, Stevie Wonder, the Definitive Collection, more Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. So you can have a look through these, and you can find, here we go, Motown Floor Shakers. Let's click on this one. So, Motown Floor Shakers. This is 40 Northern Soul classics, actually. So let's have a look. You can spend a little while finding the right album for you. But if we scroll down, look at this track listing, and you can see all these songs, and you can even click a little play button to or you can just click preview all songs. You know, you can hear these songs, make notes. You know, there's got to be enough stuff for you to build a great show there. Okay, so what else have I got to share with you? Okay, we're pretty much out of time. The missus has made me a lovely sandwich, a fish finger sandwich. You can't beat them with a bit of ketchup. So I promised to share some other stuff with you. This has gone pretty well, I think. So I'm going to make another video for you. Give me a couple of days. But this will cover the big stuff. How to create more gigs instead of waiting around hoping that they appear. Now this basically, we're all waiting, like polar bears at the zoo, waiting for the gigs to be thrown to us, okay? But what this strategy is, this goes out and says, hey, you should do this. And they go, brilliant, will you do it for me? And then you've got yourself a gig that you've created out of thin air. I'll explain it, how everybody is a win-win-win-win-win on this one, okay? The next thing, the big thing that has turned the professionalism of my act from, I'd say, a 7 to an 11. And in my eyes, 7 is great. And why? And I'll also explain why I think most acts are just like a 4 or a 5. Seriously, and that's controversial. I'll not name names or anything, but I'm telling you, shit needs to change, or we're all going to be out on our ears. Next, what else? Date sheets. I hate date sheets. I've got this brilliant solution to date sheets. I'm going to share that with you, and why working with agents is better than direct with venues, okay? Pros and cons, and why I think working with agents is great, and how you make agents love you, and how they make them ring you first over anyone else. And finally, how you can claim a free website that gets you on the Google Maps. Like in the picture there, the Google Maps, when people type in, let's say they type in personal injury lawyers, it detects that they're in Bolton. It shows them the Bolton map and the closest personal injury lawyers. Okay, I'm just testing this before I share it because I want to be sure that this is the bang tidy solution that I think it is. If it is, I'm just going to share it with you guys because you know, I don't believe there is anything such as my gigs or my venues. This is our industry. There's no such thing as my customer. It's our customers. It's our industry. If I'm cheap with this stuff, if I'm shady with it, keep it all to myself, I'm not helping anyone. You know, I need to help this industry grow. I need to fan these little flames, you know, help people over the hurdles that I find easy because of my background. Some of you may be pulling your hair out. You know, this is why there's so many people have their photos, their professional publicity photos are them stood in front of the curtains or the blinds in their conservatory, and it's been taken on a phone or a home camera. That crap won't cut it anymore. So, you know, also I've got a great photographer I'd love to share with you if you're in the Northwest. Let's get you booked in with her. She did all my pictures, and she's fantastic. So let's get you booked in with her. I'll share that in the next video as well. So, last thing, any questions? in the comments beneath this video, give me any feedback. If you think I'm full of crap, if you think I'm an idiot, if you think I need a shave, if you think this was good, if you think this was helpful, you know, what do you want to hear more of? What are you struggling with? Somebody said they're struggling with venues who change last minute with bookings. That's happened to me actually recently. The one time I didn't have a solid contract in place happened to me. So we're going to talk strategy around that, protecting yourself from that, okay? Making people respect you more, because generally people respect you. They're not going to piss you about like that. Apologies for the language. Anything else? Any questions? Just hit me up. If I don't know the answer, I'll find somebody who does. I really want to really foster this sense of community that we've got going here on Facebook. So, you know, we're nearly at 25 minutes. You're probably sick of listening to me. Just fill in the thing below and share this video. Share it with everybody. If they're in any kind of industry that's similar to ours, singers, karaokes, DJs, you know, magicians, just share it, because a lot of this does apply to them as well. Right, anyway, speak soon, and hit me up with your questions. Have a good weekend. Cheers.